Welcome to Sandra P's GenXtra. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sandra P's GenXtra. I hope everyone is having a great day, a wonderful Wednesday. Welcome to Sandra P's GenXtra. Hello, everyone. Let me change this layout a little bit. Let's see. Okay, that young lady behind me, of course, is the beautiful Drew Sidora from Real Housewives of Atlanta. I wanted to get on here and be able to just give my thoughts on the end of the season and a little bit of thoughts on the season, some of the side stuff that's going on with these ladies. Real Housewives of Atlanta, Sweet 16. In my opinion, it was anything but sweet. They had good intentions, but they weren't able to get there for me. So I'll just go through what I thought about it. And let me make sure I have comments up, as if anyone comes in, they want to give their opinion as well, they're welcome to. Of course, I love to read the comments. Good morning, TNTG Mom. I hope you're well. Good to see you. And Team Replay, if you are watching this as a replay, I appreciate you so much. In any case, like the video. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. And I appreciate you so much. This is just maybe not a recap, because what I'm going to do is just go through certain scenes stuck out to me. Parts 1, parts 2, I was able to review with the panel, Dropping Extra Sassy Tea Talk panel. Our schedules have not aligned yet for part 3. I still hope that they will, but if they don't, I have to have my thoughts on record, because we all have watched and followed through this entire season. So everyone wants to have their thoughts on record. Welcome in, Mama Bees. Mama Bees is a moderator. I appreciate you coming in, speaking to the chat. Click the like button, speaking to me and everyone else. Thank you so much for joining. This is just a tie up. Put a button in, put a pin in. Season 16, Nene Leaks, the house that Nene built, called it Sweet 16. Andy, don't steal that name. This was not Sweet 16. Cynthia Bailey, friend of, even said at some point during the reunion, this wasn't such a sweet 16. Now, she had her own reasons for saying that. I'm going to skip all around because I've seen all 3 parts. I've covered the first 2 parts with the panel. This is part 3. I'm going to cover now. Hopefully the panel schedule will align and we can all discuss it together. Because if you watch the panel, we've all had the same view at times, different view at times, and you never know who was going to fall on what side or what we were going to think about anything. So it was a really good season for a panel to review, because with all these different ladies, y'all started out with 4 new peaches. We have 4 new faces, which is Angela Oakley. We had Kelly Farrell, Britt Eady started out. Also Shamia Morton, who we've seen before, but this is Shamia's first season with a peach. We ended the season with not OG, but veteran. No Kenya Moore, no Britt Eady, which is one of the new peaches. So that was some of the controversy that took place during the show and then behind the scenes. Some of it's still ongoing. A lot of it, I think, was caused by Bravo. A lot of it was caused by, I think, Bravo, the executives, Bravo, Andy. Sometimes they don't handle things the same way for this group of housewives than they would for other housewives. Kenya's actions are what caused herself not to be here. Britt Eady was able to still come back. Britt's own actions caused her to, I think, not even get a second season, because I could see the fans kind of throwing toward Britt. Anytime people start to think someone's getting ganged up on, then people will start to side with that person. But I'll be honest, I didn't care for Britt from day one. I didn't like a lot of the things she said and did. I didn't feel she knew how to read. I didn't know that she was a fit, but there were scenarios that I could agree with Britt and see where she was coming from. And a person who didn't care for her can see that. I know she had her people that were turning toward her side, especially when she would get into it with Kelly. We had her and Shamia into it about certain things. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know what this internet is doing. I actually made sure what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and shut off the camera, because sometimes that impacts it. So we ended up, I was speaking on Britt Eady. Her own actions are what caused her to no longer be on the show, if that is indeed the case. Her pulling a no call, no show for the reunion. And I'm calling it a no call, no show, because the two people that she was still in contact with and aligned with, which would be Portia Williams and Phaedra Parks, did not know that did not know that Britt was not going to be there until day of. So on any job, once you do that, you pretty much have given up your job unless you're laying up in the hospital or something. Now, Drew, you see, I have that young lady beside me because I feel like even though Bravo gave her the end of the couch, it's because of her almost 5 seasons of people think she's a liar. People think she's not showing all that she could show. I think that she did the best that she could this reunion. Drew was able to take up for herself. She's been a target for seasons. People see her as kind of a pushover and an easy target and a liar and all this stuff. So if they want to get one off, they'll come at Drew. And Drew was kind of like knocking the girls back, giving her thoughts back to Andy, putting Ralph in his corny egghead place. I appreciate Drew. I feel like Drew was the winner of this reunion, sitting on the other end of the couch. Portia had an impactful reunion. She's even said, it's been an impactful season, yeah. But Portia has the backing and the care and the protection of Andy. You can't watch this reunion and not see it. You can't. So I just wanted to give a little preface as to where some of my thoughts were. And as you come in, click the like button. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. So all in all, for me, it was a disappointing season 16. The reunion was not great, but I didn't think we needed a part 3, but part 3 ended up being the best of what they had. So we said Andy, of course, I see he is Portia's protector. They are still going on, Portia and Shamia, where they started the breakdown of their friendship, which I don't believe it was this season. I think it was ongoing, starting from when years ago, Portia didn't go to one of Shamia's weddings, and then we had more than one reason as to why. I think the lie was that she couldn't put her legs up in the air for an extended period of time, and she has turned planes around and yeah. That was a big Portia lie. But we find out that she didn't go to one of the weddings because she said, we were beefing. I didn't know if we were cool at the time. So that, I think, is the real reason. So that's what she's saying now. But at the time, she had a different reason. So Andy's saying, well, things were thawing. Didn't Portia send you a birthday post? Shamia says, yeah, I found that really nice and sweet, this, that, and the other. And then Portia pipes in. And then you continue the smear campaign against me. So they do that thing where Portia's she's being whiny. Will you stop fighting me? And Shamia said, well, why don't you fight me too? And Portia said, that's because you're lying. And Shamia says, you don't think you've been lying too. So now we've established that there's 2 liars sitting in the first seat on the couch. Shamia is a liar. Portia is a liar. Andy is protecting one of the liars because Andy was dragging Shamia by her wig. He was dragging Shamia, and Shamia was unprepared. I felt sorry for Shamia, y'all, during this reunion. And everybody knows I started out the season trying to ride for Shamia. Y'all, she made it so hard. You can have everybody against you and still be prepared. The fact that Gerald didn't come to the reunion, Andy called that out. That's a big part of it. Charles Oakley, he don't want to be on the screen. He thinks this is beneath him, in my opinion. He thinks a lot of it is foolishness. He do not want to go back and forth with ladies. He's got that old school mentality. But I like Charles because Charles told us that from the beginning. And he did what? Showed up and supported his wife, which Gerald did not. Thank you for the yellow flowers, Gerald. Thank you for being in the phone. But Shamia needed you sitting behind her at some point during this reunion. This is terrible. So while they're still going in and at it, the moms come up. Y'all, you have to go behind the scenes to kind of know what went on with the moms. Welcome in. Thank you so much for joining. Please click the like button, and I appreciate you, DG. know the behind the scenes of the moms. Andy wants to ask about it. Andy, I think you're kind of a liar. You're a little bit fake. You're going to sit there and pretend that you are in your Bravo executive hat and you don't know anything about what's going on. But Andy, I think you know what's going on. I think you follow this just like we do. And you know these ladies. You have some of their number on speed dial. You're a protector of some of them. And I think you know some of this behind the scenes. You also see a lot of this footage that we don't get to see. The first one to bring up the mom was Shamia during a scene with Cynthia. Somehow the moms came up And then Portia went outside the show and we got a really angry IG from her, like, back up, watch yourself. So it was on screen and off screen, but Shamia brought the moms to our attention. Okay, I have to say that, Shamia, because you did. Portia went scorched earth. Back up, girl. Don't talk about the moms. Miss Diane has talked about Shamia on screen. Watch the dog that brings the bone. I don't know. I think Miss Diane has been one to, Portia is her daughter, but she's going to put a bug in Portia's ear. And then Portia is going to think or say a lot of what her mom wants her to. So Miss Diane does have something going on against Shamia's mom. And I'm sorry, I cannot remember Shamia's mom's name. We're going to get Andre Shannon. I'll put your comment up and then I'll go back to it, okay? Because we haven't gotten to Angela yet. I did bring up Charles, but I'm skipping all over. So this is okay. I'll read it now so we don't forget, okay? Welcome in. I haven't seen you before, but click the like button and I appreciate you joining. Angela Oakley was doing too much as a brand new housewife. Bravo and NBC Universal have your identity. Angela Oakley bringing out your birth certificate to a union can get your identity compromised. Andre Shannon, I can see where you're coming from with that, but you don't think their identity is already compromised? These people, we got their whole government name. People are talking about Angela as far as I've heard people call her insurance scammer. They done looked at the lady's insurance licenses, all that stuff they say about Brit, her licenses. So would I want to show my birth certificate to my coworkers? No, because they don't need to see it. It's none of their business. And what she was responding to is shade that Phaedra was giving her about her age, even though we couldn't get old Phaedra to admit it. Phaedra was calling Angela old as a way to shade her. Angela does look more mature than the ladies that are in her age group, which is Portia's in her age group, Kelly's in her age group, Shamia's in her age group. They're right around the same age group, but we have Phaedra referring to this lady as she looked like she'd be wearing a slip. She looks like a school matron, trying to say she's older. She doesn't look as young as some of the ladies. I think maybe it's her dress. She has an older husband. Charles Oakley, excuse me. Barkley's another one. I can see him doing this if he had a wife. Charles Oakley is in his 60s. He, I think, is more conservative. His wife is going to present a certain way. So we'll think that. I think that. So as far as her doing too much, I don't know. She was I was going to say one of my favorite new peaches, but I have to say, now I'm thinking of the four that started. Angela Oakley was my favorite peach. I think she gave a lot. And I'm happy. I think she's a good choice. And toward the end, Andy even told her that she started out with a lot of insecurities. I don't know why a woman like Angela would have these insecurities, but I could see what Andy was talking about. So evidently they had a conversation and Angela said, "Why did you choose me? Why did you want me?" And Andy said, you're a fit. You're going to be a fit. And she was a fit. They had the Fangelas, of which I'm one. I think a lot of people did like Angela. A lot of people turned against Angela. They think that her bringing Marcus, I can never remember that other guy, but I'll tell you now, Andre, I don't believe either one of them. I think they both wanted to be on TV. I don't think Angela set it up. I think Phaedra set it up. I don't care that she was there 2 weeks. That is Phaedra's MO. Phaedra's done that before, lying type stuff, and has been caught in lies and was paused for 7 seasons, y'all. 7 seasons. Okay, so again, I've said it was disappointing. I'll go back to where I was talking about with Shamia and Portia going at it over the mamas, Miss Diane, Shamia's mom. They're talking about it in and off the show. Andy's pretending he don't know nothing about it. What's going on? The foreclosure comes up. Portia is very animated, talking about, my mom found out her building was in foreclosure. You don't just find out your building is in foreclosure. You're getting all them notices. They tell you it's going to be on the courthouse steps. And if you don't get your money together, the auction happens. But Portia's telling us that her mom's building was in foreclosure. Shamia's mom bought it, and they didn't know about it until they were driving by and they were taking down Miss Diane's sign and putting up Shamia's mom's sign. I don't believe that is the way it happened. I'm not going to dispute that that's what happened, because I think that is true, that Shamia's mom ended up buying this building. So this is a trip, y'all. That did happen. there are underlying things, and they both said, we don't really want to talk about what it really is. Miss Diane was in the daycare business. Miss Diane is no longer in the daycare business. I'll say this. I hope she's never back in the daycare business. If you know, you know. That's not something I want to talk about, but it's sensitive. It's terrible. I'm not going to blame anybody. I don't know details of it, but Miss Diane, please stay out the daycare business. So that's another issue that they won't really discuss. Shamia and Portia are arguing about the loss of their friendship. I don't understand arguing about the loss of a friendship. We've had Cynthia pipe in and still want them to be friends. Kelly pipe in, still want them to be friends. They had the longest friendship, but I think their friendship had come to an end before this season of the show, before Shamia got her peach. Okay, I really do think that. So that's just what I think about the two of them. I'm going to move on because they actually were still going back and forth. Portia saying that Shamia was still working to sabotage her. It came up that Shamia did have something to do with an alliance, and she tried to make it out. I wanted to be all new, fresh girls in an alliance. Y'all, it ended up being herself, Britt, Kelly. They excluded Angela. So if you're going to add the new peaches, add the new peaches. Why did they exclude Angela? And then it looks like Shamia was kind of maneuvering and doing things that Portia wouldn't get her hands dirty on. Portia and this lady next to me, Drew, had a feud. Portia says that the feud stems from Drew filming with Dennis, as Portia calls her baby daddy, which is Portia Jr.'s father. I know her name is Pilar, but I like Portia Jr. So Pilar's father, Dennis, is a music producer. I found that out this season. He did a great job with Drew's, her short record. He really did. And people are still talking about the songs, and Drew's touring with those songs as well. Opening for people. Drew's doing amazing with that. And I always love Drew's voice. Portia wanted Drew to come to her and get permission for Dennis to film with her. Portia has maintained she don't have a problem with or care that she worked with Dennis. It's the fact that she filmed with Dennis and didn't bring it to her. So that could be true. So I don't really believe a lot of what Portia says, but I do believe that bothered her. Drew is telling us that she tried to keep texting Portia, call. Portia was not picking up. Portia was dodging. I don't know why Portia would dodge if Portia wants Drew to get permission. So that wasn't making sense to me. But anyway, they never really settled that. That's something that they kind of argued about. Also, let me go back to Shamia. Shamia tries to bring up, she thought that the alliance was with the young, fun girls. She says that the friendship started to shatter when other people were saying they were seeing a lopsided friendship. Drew, from the end of the couch, had to pipe in, wait a minute, you had things to get off your chest about the friendship, and you pinky swore so that we wouldn't tell. And of course, all these ladies brought it back to Portia, because why wouldn't they? And then Portia, of course, she probably didn't trust Shamia at this point anyway. They don't trust each other. Their friendship, to me, is down the drain. I don't know if it could or should be resurrected, but they were going back and forth. Another thing that happened that I don't really like at reunions, but Shamia she's getting beat up the whole reunion. This is the beginning of the third part. And she's like, I kept reaching out, even during the time of Londi. I could see it on Portia. I'm going to congratulate Portia for keeping her cool and holding her peace. She said, I was grieving, girl. So Shamia, I noticed at the time that Portia did have Phaedra announce to the group about Londi, even though I don't know how close Phaedra was to Londi. We've all known of Londi. Londi has been around Portia on different scenes. They're very close. In certain families, your cousin is almost like a sister, a first cousin or sister. They're close. So Portia was grieving. Nobody's going to take that from her. I don't know how she came up with Phaedra as opposed to Shamia to break the news to the group, other than Shamia, you and Portia were not close at that time. So when Shamia brought that up, I didn't know what Portia's reaction was going to be, but Portia handled herself well. You got to be careful at reunions throwing things like this out there. That was very sensitive, y'all. Even though at the beginning of, I think it was part one, Shamia, when she prayed, she did bring up Londi. But to bring her up during the course of an argument, I don't care for that, but Portia handled it well. Portia's whining, you're using things against me. And then, oh, you kiss Candy at the club and I kiss Candy at the club. So we had Drew and Kelly trying to clarify. Kelly's like, did they both kiss Candy at a club? I don't want to hear Candy's name in a reunion anymore. Candy has said that she don't really want to come back to the Housewives. We all know that Bravo didn't offer her a contract because they wanted to bring back Phaedra and Portia, and they don't really coexist with Candy because of that lie they told on her season 9 when it all blew up. So please stop bringing up Candy. I don't really like hearing about Candy anymore. Kelly says that Britt is not a friend to them. Britt couldn't care less about what they got going on. So then they kind of get into it about whether or not Portia and Britt had a strategic friendship. I think so. But I want to give Britt this. Britt was being attacked from all ends, in my opinion, rightfully so, because after she remember, what started people's foot on Britt's neck, Britt made a threat. Britt said that she had a weapon at an event that the Housewives are at. They were going back and forth a little bit. So why are you talking about a weapon? Why are you talking about whips, chains, and pow? I don't know why any of that came up. And then I'm going to get on Kelly. I went back and forth with Kelly. I have compassion for Kelly. She is raising, as she said, 4 Black daughters. But Kelly lies too. Kelly gets on whatever side she thinks is hot at the time as well. And we find out Kelly is even accepting calls from Dennis. So Kelly's a little trip. But when Britt did that, Kenya heard her. Okay, the production played it for the audience. We heard it. Kelly was standing right under Britt's elbow and pretended she didn't hear that. So I don't like that Kelly did that. These ladies could have handled that differently. Could Kenya have? Yes. But I think if the initial threat had been handled, none of this would have happened. So, yeah, this is a tough reunion for Shamia, y'all, but she didn't come prepared. She didn't do whatever she needed to do to get her husband up there. Every time he do something for her, she lick her tongue out. She's twerking and all of this. She needed to do whatever she needed to do to get that man there. Because I think that Gerald, the little bit I've seen of him, he has a calming presence. And I don't know that Andy would have been throwing bombs at Shamia. Portia would have been throwing bombs at Shamia. Everybody would have been Shamia if Gerald had come out. Because we see the reaction that Charles Oakley get. Charles Oakley is a legend. He's 6'8" or so. He doesn't play. He has his humor, but Charles is not playing with you. And you didn't see them flipping all up and addressing him and all of that. So Andy pivoted to Drew and Dennis and Portia filming together. We never really got to the bottom of that. Then he flips to Drew and Ralph in the basement. We get the scene of Drew's mother speaking about the kids and the changes in the children. So Drew is upset about that. She's saying she did let the audience know that the kids are in therapy. So I'm happy to hear that. Andy brings up Ralph's disgusting tweet, Ralph insinuating about the finances. And Ralph is letting the audience know he didn't apologize to the mother at the time of. So I don't understand that. Andy brings up them cooking together, Drew being fed steak. And then Drew lets us know that, yeah, that did happen as part of their co-parenting. But Drew was upset with the, I'm going to see if my camera is still, if this is still frozen. If it is, I'll turn it off. So they bring up, yeah, it is, y'all. They bring up the co-parenting as to why Ralph comes upstairs and they're cooking. Drew said he lied about the caption, which was something about she calls me daddy in the kitchen. That could have been a joke, but Ralph knew how the viewers would see that he and Drew are, they're still, I'm not going to say sneaking around together because that's her husband. If he want to come upstairs or she go downstairs, that's their business until the divorce is final or after, because we don't really care. But I didn't like Cynthia and Portia and I think Kelly weighed in, joking with this lady about her and Ralph still getting into it with the way Ralph treats her. So that is the court order that Ralph stays in the basement. Portia pipes up and said the same thing happened to her. When she was married to Cordell, she lived upstairs for a long time. So I guess in Georgia, if nobody wants to leave the marital home, then they are ordered to live there together. That could be dangerous. You remember another alum, Kim and Corey were over there fighting every week in their house, had the police over there. So somebody need to get their money together and move out. Drew calls, it comes up again about whether Drew tried to holler at Dennis. Ralph, I think, lies and said that she did, and Drew gets irate. She says, you are lying. You sitting in there, you're white and you're Beijing. Ralph, she called you out. I wanted it to get real hot then and sweat that mess out, get that on that white. But Ralph sitting over there, and one thing I wouldn't do is lie. Drew said, every time you come here, you lie. Yeah, we've seen him brutalize Drew during these reunions. Verbally, his reactions. We saw a reunion, Drew sing a whole song to the man, and he sat there like an ice statue. So I don't like Ralph's treatment of Drew, and I don't like people joking about that she's still dating him, because I don't think that she is, y'all. She may be, but I don't think that she is. And then he tries to say, I don't want to hurt you. I will always love you. You give me beautiful kids. I want to co-parent together. He's saying all this stuff to get, pats on the back. When our moderators came in and spoke to everyone, thank you so much, Cece. So, and we do remember a couple of reunions ago, maybe part 1 or 2, Portia brought up, worry about who Ralph is flipping with in the basement. So they're throwing this up in Drew's face that Ralph sometimes have women down there. Ralph lies to the viewer and said, just because the lady comes beyond the gates, that doesn't mean that she was in the house. I don't believe Ralph, because Ralph, whoever this woman is, she goes to the children's school, and Drew said the lady bucked up on her at the school, like, I know you. And Drew didn't really give the lady the reaction that she wanted, which I agree with that. I don't think Drew's one of the people that would be fighting or anything either. So I felt like the cast as a whole, and also Andy, did a lot of protection of Portia. And Portia's she's no slouch. She can protect herself. And I like one of the viewer questions that Andy introduced. He said, why didn't the cast support Drew in her divorce the way that they supported Portia? I didn't really get a good answer. Kelly piped up, I wish we had been closer due to the circumstance. Kelly, I think you're lying. Drew, that's the look that Drew was giving her. And Kelly's like, don't give me that look. But I'm with Drew on that. And even Angela, she was looking over at each other. I think Shamia said something, and Drew told Shamia, you need to pipe down and stop talking, which was good advice, because anytime they were on Shamia, it wasn't good. Anytime she was quiet, she was getting a little bit of a reprieve. So, yeah, sit in that first seat and stop talking, Shamia. Just look pretty, because I felt really badly for Shamia throughout the reunion. So Drew was saying that Kelly needed a moment. Kelly claims, I never needed a moment. Kelly did need and receive a lot of moments throughout the season. And they went into why Kelly called Drew a liar. The Balthon event with the crackling bones thing, there was something about you had to purchase that night to get the charity money. And she was only getting a percentage of the charity money. Drew didn't complete the purchase that night. She said they didn't have her son's size, but she bought a blazer later. Kelly, I thought that was a silly reason to bring that up, and we don't really care about all of that. I just think it was another thing for them to try to embarrass Drew, just like Shamia with that Judith Lieber bag. And the designer has come out and said, yeah, that's my bag. That's not a knockoff. And Shamia and people are still saying that it's a fake bag. I think that Drew would pay $5,000 for a bag when she could get one that's just as cute for $130 and do that just for clout. I think Drew did do that. I think it's a real bag. The designer said it was. Shamia was getting slammed again, called a lapdog again. Angela said, please stop saying that. Something came up, tried to say something about Angela. Angela said, I'm too big to sit on anybody's lap. So the ladies were like, ooh. Phaedra, we get to hear from Phaedra repeating somebody else. Ooh, she said she too big, sit on anybody's lap. Phaedra basically stole her Bravo check this season and also during the reunion. I'm not mad at her, but I'm a little disappointed. I'll say that. So Drew was telling Shamia, you fighting for your life in this friendship, because Shamia piped up again, something to do with Portia. Portia sitting over there paying the girl dust, and you still piping up. So then they're trying to still prove Drew as a liar. Drew doing these little white lies. Drew, the only thing they come up with is she completed the purchase, the Judith Lieber bag or knockoff, whether or not Michael Jordan was her cousin. Andy, that's silly, okay? Drew claimed she was joking. I don't know if she was joking or not. She didn't know Angela Oakley was going to get Charles to call somebody and then ask Marcus Jordan and this, that, and the other. So, yeah, Drew, that Michael Jordan's not your cousin. She said she was just joking. And then they asked whether or not, this is still the viewer question, why the cast wasn't more supportive of Drew. Portia lies and says she didn't know Drew was serious about the Ralph issues. Portia, I don't think anybody would be down to the Georgia court with all of these pages and pages of filings and paying money if they're not serious. We didn't know whether or not Portia was serious about Simon, and she still got support. So I don't accept that excuse. And then Portia's piping up in everybody's situation but hers. So we get Charles, Ralph, Dennis. I found funny when Ralph came out and tried to sit his egghead behind Cynthia. Cynthia turned around and said, "Don't sit behind me. I don't want no problems out of Drew." That's right, Cynthia. Send him right over there. So Ralph was in like an awkward space between Cynthia and Phaedra. And Dennis, of course, is sitting right behind Portia. Dennis, just sit on Portia's lap because you a lap dog. You lie for Portia. You do whatever Portia wants you to do, and you are a lap dog. Charles Oakley comes out. Y'all, they were starstruck. Andy was starstruck. I never thought I'd have the enforcer out here. Charles looked good. I know y'all trip off Charles' gray hair, but I'm a fellow platinum hair myself, and I love it. Charles looked good. He sat behind Angela. Andy compliments him. He said people were saying that, sometimes it didn't come across the way Angela wanted it to, as far as you asking for a kiss, this and that. They were talking about that. But you really showed up for her when it counts. And it's true. Charles said, she's my wife. I'm going to show up for her. She's my wife. And I love that. So let me let Cece jump in and defend Phaedra. I know you come in, Cece. I see you. I'm going to put it up here and read it. Okay. To be fair, Phaedra was only there for 2 weeks and still managed to have a big event. Cece, she was there for 2 weeks. She had the big event. She participated on the Grenada trip. The big event was Mr. President's. I'm going to give that to Aiden and Dylan. Okay, so to be fair, okay, I'm sorry. We're going to read that. It was said that Gerald wouldn't be there for Shamia. She needed the support. She desperately needed the support, Cece. Love or hate her. And I'm still one of those people. I don't want to drag Shamia. She getting that enough. She needed Gerald there. But I think it's probably a situation where Gerald probably told her, she know this man don't want to do the show. She's desperate for this peach, even though she's been a friend of and able to come on the show forever. So I think she kind of just bit off more than she could chew. And then when everybody was loving her, she's accepting that and lapping it up. But when the tables turn, she's not willing to accept that. And she should know tables will always turn. Portia's been a sweetheart and Portia's been dragged. Phaedra's been the sweetheart. She's been dragged. Nini's been the sweetheart. She's been dragged. Kenya, every single one of them get their chance. And Shamia got to realize you're going to be the sweetheart and you're going to get dragged. Now, it happened to happen all in the same season for her, but I'm going to see what she's going to do. Y'all, I watched that apology video and all that. I don't know that she's cut out for this, y'all. I would hate it if she doesn't come back, but I don't know if Shamia can take it. Oh, also, Andy had the nerve to joke about Ralph wearing a shirt tonight. Ralph's like, yeah, today. Ralph, don't be trying to entice Andy. I don't think you're his type. So Charles is saying he was there to support his wife. He knows she's going to kill it. Y'all, Charles is proud of Angela. The way they relate, I can understand that. I've seen that before. I think it is because he is older. Also, that's his personality type. He jokes a lot, and it's a dry humor, and it is sometimes embarrassing to Angela. Of course, we get the line where he is asking, where your husband's at? I don't know who's married either. Let me see if I have that scene. I'm going to break the ice a little bit, y'all. Hopefully this won't make things too crazy with the internet. But I've been talking a while. Let me go ahead and show this short scene, and then we'll go back to Charles Oakley, okay? So let's see. I'm going to present. Share screen. Okay, this is from Bravo. Okay, there we are. I'm still here. I'm not sure what happened with that. I was trying to put Charles' scene up. Let me view this again and see if it's playing. All right. If we're not, oh, okay, that's why. Let me go back.
Feel Angela did on the show?
I think she did great. She cried a couple times, but just telling, hey, you jump in the pool, you got to know how to swim.
Charles, there were a lot of moments where Angela would be saying to you, do you miss me? And you were kind of holding back a little bit, which I think led to a perception among some viewers that you don't care for her very much.
Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss.
What's you need the kids? I'm not the guy who just be all over Angela on TV. I don't try to put on for cameras. And she know I love her, and I wouldn't be if I didn't love her and the kids. So, hey, keep watching.
I give it up to you, man of your profile especially. I mean, you showed up for her over and
I'll
over.
play it again.
My husband, and I fought to have her back and through thick and thin. So
Yeah.
it is what it is.
A lot of the ladies mentioned that they didn't know that you were married. Were you hiding that you had a wife?
No, I wasn't hiding. I don't know who's married neither. I hear that all the time. You know, people be in the streets. I hear a lot of people say I'm in the streets. A lot of people say they know me but don't know me. Shamia, I met her for the first time on the show, but she said she was at Dominique wedding, and I was there. But
I met you several times.
Where?
I mean, you might not know me. I mean, obviously
Right,
you're a
I don't
legend,
know
but okay, one second. I met you at Nick's wedding.
No.
And at
No, you didn't meet me. I was there. That's not me.
Whoa. Okay. All right. So we see what Charles did when he came out there. And I don't blame Charles. Charles had every right to correct the record on that because, y'all, let me get this to stop. I'm sorry. 1 minute. One moment. Let me see where that's at so I can stop it. Okay, y'all. I apologize for that. Y'all. Okay. If you're still here, thank you so much. CC, thank you. I appreciate when you do that. Okay. As far as the sound and everything. Thank you so much. So I'm going to read CC question because this is into the Charles scene, right? Was it me or did Charles glare at Shamia when she was trying to say he knew her? He looked at her hard to me. Yes, CC, he did. And you caught it. She was on that first seat. He was right behind Angela and he glared at her because I think that was something that Angela had. Well, we saw it on screen a couple times. She'd been telling Charles, the ladies claim they know you. Some of them claim they can get it. Now, why didn't they bring up Portia saying, if she don't leave me alone, I'll F her husband? They brought it up earlier, but they didn't bring it up in front of Charles. I wanted to hear more about that, but Charles did glare at Shamia. It was another not so fine Shamia moment. Shamia was trying to defend herself, talking about, hold on, I've met you. He said, I was there, but I don't know you. And it's true. Someone who's famous like Charles, they have meet and greets. This was Dominique Wilkins' wedding. So there was a lot of other famous people there that he does remember that he is actually friends with and do know him. Shamia is not one of them. We saw a picture that Gerald took with Charles, but it wasn't candid like they were at the table or they're talking. It was almost like a fan shot to me, y'all, like a meet and greet type thing. And then she said, and also at the Hawks games, she's the host for the Hawks games. He is a legend in the NBA. So I'm sure he's going to sit there and people introduce themselves to them. Even though she's one of the hosts, I don't think that she would stand out. So I was a little embarrassed for her. And yeah, he did look at her hard. And then when he swung around to Miss Phaedra, I think Andy asked her, do you know Phaedra? When did you and Phaedra meet? And then she started hemming and hawing and buffering and stuttering and glitching. And I was glad that that happened to Phaedra. Because Phaedra, you don't know that man the way she was trying to pretend that she knows him. And she was doing that, in my opinion, to hurt Angela's feelings or to make Angela look less. And then she tried to throw out, this is Housewives. Yeah, it is Housewives. You do the fun shade, but you only have two husbands, Gerald and Charles, but one that's showing up, Charles, and then y'all gonna start focusing on their marriage and try to draw a wedge. I didn't like that. And especially when this has happened on this show over a decade. And people say that about this show, that there are people behind the scenes and also on camera that go at these marriages. I can't say why. I don't know why, but I do see it. And I agree, Cece. Charles did glare at her. He cleared that up. Now, Angela, this is where Angela goes too far with Charles. He's there. He's supporting you. Andy's asking the questions. Andy asked about what about that baby though? Kelly's sitting there quiet, right? So he asked about that. Charles clears it up about it happened with Wendy Williams. Angela was trying to kind of comfort Wendy Williams. You can get over it. It's just a baby. We know Kevin Hunter was out there and had ended up moving the woman and the baby down the street to the destruction of Wendy and that family. Kevin Hunter, your dog. So Charles tells us what really happened with that situation, that he did not have a side baby, that he's always going to show up for his wife, his kids. So we clear that situation up. It comes out that Angela brings it up. And didn't Wendy invite you over for wine? Yeah, I didn't go because she had a cat and I'm allergic to cats. So y'all, I found that funny. She tried to, well, are you saying you would have went? He said, I like wine. So yeah, he would have had a drink with Wendy Williams. He has a type. He liked them tall. He liked the Amazons. Sheree's little, but Sheree's built. So Sheree is a type too. That came up. Andy asked, when were you dating Sheree? Phaedra brought up Sheree, trying to clear her own muttering, stuttering mess up as to when she knew him. And then when you were dating Sheree at the time, and I remember Phaedra and Sheree being that close, and I don't know what that would have to do with Charles Oakley. I'm gonna get on Sheree in a minute. Charles says that yeah, Sheree and I were dating. Now we know they're from the same place, y'all. Are they both from Cleveland? Somewhere in Ohio. Sheree and I were dating, and Andy's like, well, were you only dating her 5 minutes or whatever? Charles, the couple years, 2005, 2007. So Sheree was in there, y'all. So Sheree, we're watching Sheree eat chips and do all kind of foolishness. Sheree had seasons where she was literally stealing her Bravo check. She wasn't doing that. She was bone carrying. I always appreciated that because she would get the scene started. But Sheree, she's hidden a lot of stuff. And this is why I get on Portia and also Phaedra. If you have aspects of your life that you don't want to show as a housewife because you don't know how the viewer's going to take it, or you want to cultivate our reactions, go ahead and get off the show and let somebody that's more candid, more organic, let them be on the show. Also, Kelly, all this fake stuff you trying to do, I would accept Kelly's story. I'm going through a divorce. This man is terrible. I'm struggling to pay for these kids. I want to show that I can get my daughter a bag for every year of her life and a Escalade and all this. I can't really do. I would appreciate that. She got nanas open. So these ladies faking the funk, we don't want to see it. Yeah, we don't want to see it. CC saying what I think. Phaedra was being shady with Angela about Charles. Also, I think she held back a little because I believe she's been in several spaces with him as Sheree's boyfriend. I think she's kept it close. Yeah, CC, that's correct. But this is a reunion. Like she said, this is Housewives. When you're called out to answer, especially when your feet are on the fire, you didn't bring anything all season. And if Sheree and Charles were in a space as boyfriend and girlfriend, Angela wasn't married to him. That was another thing I didn't like about Phaedra, the secret wife of Charles Oakley. If you were around the man 10 years ago, he didn't have a secret wife. He wasn't married. He and Angela been married about 8 years. So I didn't like the way that they would try to shade Angela about her husband when we see this insecurity in her. And I don't know why. Their relationship is their relationship. The way he treats her, I wouldn't love it, but I like them as a couple. And I'm glad they're in therapy. They mentioned Madison Square Garden. I still don't know why. She said after being kicked out, he wanted to kind of be outside. he thanked her for staying with him during that time, staying strong. So if she liked it, I love it. I do like them together. I'm glad that he is on the show, even though we know he don't love it. Kelly's a little big mouth. When we gonna do another cook-off? He said, whenever you're ready. So Kelly got threw her little shot again. We're gonna look for an event with her and Charles Oakley, I guess. Because he had a good time at that event when he came and he did the waffle cook-off. And I think he beat Kelly. Kelly's business is waffles. And I think he beat Kelly that day, didn't he? So let's see. We found out Dennis, y'all, has been thirsty over Britt. Andy brought up, we knew that when he took Britt on a date, he had to come correct. And he came with a diamond necklace, okay? So Dennis is a trick. Ain't tricking if you got it, but he does do that. He gets the names tatted on him if he needs to. He'll bring a diamond necklace. He's gone out with Britt. We find out he's been calling Kelly. So Dennis is messy, but just enough. He says, yeah, but she don't tell the whole story. Here's Kelly. What's the whole story, though? You were there, Kelly. You know what the whole story is. We find out that there were some ongoing phone calls. So Portia's face is stone, pretty stone, but still stone. Kelly, you're going to hear about this. You're going to hear about Portia in this. So this was funny to me, y'all. We find out something about Kelly, something about outside. So we don't know if Dennis and Kelly, it sounds like it was just the phone, but I don't know if they have met up yet or not. I don't know. So Dennis is thirsty, y'all. And he likes pretty women and he feels like he got to pay to get in there. And he does. He's willing to. Ralph gave a fake speech. He just wants he and Drew to work together. Drew said that the words are just words until there's action. She don't really respect it. And until he make things right with her mom, because that was disgusting. She said, my father was a prominent pediatrician, and what your words did, and you speculating on the finances, that just wasn't right. He still had not apologized to date. Cynthia advised him, which was good advice. Cynthia, take this advice as well. Watch what you put on social media and say outside the show. Because Cynthia, you and Kenya no longer friends now. Kenya said you out here telling her business. You guys are supposed to hold each other. You ladies hold your secrets close. And Kenya hasn't told your stuff. And she knows intimate secrets of you. But Cynthia has told Kenya's business. We don't know details, but that is what Kenya has said over there on Twirl On. Life Twirls On. That was a pretty good episode. I can take Kenya in small doses. I do love when she shades, but it's short. It was like 30 minutes or so. She spilled the tea about the new Housewives. She didn't say K. Michelle. She said a singer of love and hip hop. She did spill Pinky Cole, the restaurateur. So that's going to be interesting. I was on the fence about returning season 17 because I'm disappointed in what they gave us. There were good parts of it. I think the season was worth watching. So I'll be with them for 17 because I'm nostalgic about this show. This is one of two shows that Bravo has that I feel like are our shows, and I want to support them. I don't want them to leave, but I don't like what Bravo does with them. I think they're trying to, it's okay to attract a younger audience, a different kind of audience, but love and hip hop is love and hip hop. The Housewives don't have to be that. So I don't like that. They got a whole network. Zeus, Britt can go over there to Zeus. So I think Ralph is dangerous for Drew, just the way he treats her. I think he's a liar. And the men thankfully leave, except for Charles. Charles could have stayed. And I did like when Andy was asking Charles if he watches. Charles like, I watch some of the shows. So Charles is not even into this show like that. And I love that he's doing this because Angela wants to do it. Congratulations to all the new peaches. And I'm going to say again about Britt. If Britt had showed up to this reunion, she showed her dress. People were drooling over that dress. And Britt, when they dressed her up, Britt looks great. So she should have been able to show up. She couldn't have had a worse reunion than Shamia did. I think that Britt still would have had her foot in the door. And then the lawsuit, is that real? People are saying the lawsuit's not really real. So I don't know. You're going to give up your job on the strength of that. Okay, now I'm suing them. But we don't know that she's going to get any money from that. Is she really suing them? I don't know what's going on. Cece says Phaedra was being shady with Angela about Charles. Oh, okay. I already read that. So that was about Sheree. I'm sorry. I went off on a tangent about something else. So yeah, I think that is true. But Sheree, these ladies, they need to show their life. They need to earn this check, y'all. You got the likes of a Charles Oakley as your boyfriend or your ex-boyfriend. We're going to watch you sit up in this beautiful house and eat chips. We need to hear from Sheree. I wonder if they would bring Sheree back and be messy. Now, Angela was saying that she thinks that her and Sheree would get along. I do too, but I don't know. Because Sheree will be waiting to shade her. We know how Sheree is. I would watch that, though. I really would. So, another thing Kelly did before Ralph left, complimented Ralph. And I want to Andy wants to know, anything else anybody want to get off their chest? I want to know what my husband told Ralph. Because we know Ralph got right on social media and said, I met with Kelly's husband. So evidently he's going over there to that podcast or whatever. Why do these men do this? Doing an open divorce case, and this man's living downstairs, and you are bringing your wife's castmate, her co-workers, soon to be ex, to the house to talk about why? I don't understand that. Portia could be heard saying, ooh, these men know they get disrespectful during a divorce. They do, Portia, I don't like that. I think that's wrong. But Kelly wants to compliment Ralph for being in his kid's life because she has a man that doesn't want to do that. So I found that whole thing distasteful. I give Ralph Pittman no credit for anything, and I don't even see him as so fine as everybody used to see him. I think Ralph is a snake, and I don't like him for Drew or for anyone. That lady going over to that house, if a man is living in the basement, going through a divorce, and you over there, as Portia said, flipping in the basement, you trash too. And at the lady's school, y'all kids go to the same school? I'm not here for that at all. So anyway, everybody, that is the end of the reunion. That's the end of the season. Oh, not one more thing. One more thing. Let me see. How did I leave this out? Portia kind of had a tough reunion as well. Andy asked them their reflections. She says it's hard to see herself go through all these changes and be rebuilt. So yeah, I understand what Portia's saying. This has been a tough season for her. She thought she was coming on here to do something different. I think certain things were humiliating. We had Simon outside chirping, and then he got put in the freezer by ice, and people want to blame her for that. I don't know if she called or not. She has said, what would that benefit her? Because she wanted the divorce to go through quickly, but he wants to drag it. He's just online the other day doing an interview talking about Portia. I want Simon to leave Portia alone at this point. That didn't work out. What she did when she walked out of Fallon's house with her husband, it didn't benefit her. She has suffered for it financially, mentally, every other way. Poor PJ, Pilar Portia Jr. has suffered. And I just want Simon in their rear view. I want him in the rear view. Fade's going to have to bring more. But to be fair to her, as Cece pointed out, she only had 2 weeks. So season 17, we'll get a whole season of her. We'll see what she's going to do. I guess they're going to start filming in the next few weeks. So we've heard the rumors of the 2 new Peaches. I haven't heard details about the returning Peaches. Shamia, I don't know if she wants to come back or not. She gave her own little crying, praying. I don't know what Shamia was doing over there, y'all. We got her mom. We got the cousin laying hands. They were talking about something like a circumcision. It was kind of strange, y'all. Shamia, if you're not cut out for this and you don't need it, either take the gloves off or get out of there. That's it. Tell the truth. Stop trying to cover for Portia more than you protect your own self. And you don't need an alliance. That's another thing she said. I think she said it either on this reunion or her little thing after the reunion. I want to be in alliance with all the ladies. There's no such, you don't need alliances. This is not Survivor. You just need to try to build relationship, build friendship, build a sisterhood with the ladies on this show. And if you're not going to do that, then just go ahead and go to the house. You don't need this show. None of that. Well, no, I think some of them do need the show. But the likes of Shamia, she doesn't need the show. Portia could drum up enough jobs where NBC Universal loves Portia. She's on this season of Traitors, y'all. So we've got Portia, another housewife that we have from Real Housewives of New York alumni. They're bringing Dorinda back because the drag queen got her up out of there, I think, first or second episode. So they're bringing her back, which I have not seen. Well, they bring Kate back all the time from Below Deck. They are bringing Candace on. Candace in that mouth, y'all. She's going to be in Scotland in the castle. I hope Candace is a traitor. So Portia, great NBC Universal relationship. So Portia can work in and around that network. So congratulations to her. She is good TV, whether I care for her or not. Right now, I'm still annoyed with Portia as to the way the whole season went. Some of it was her fault, some not, because there was a lot of things she couldn't talk about really. So let's see. I'm gonna have to give the season. I won't give it a failing grade. I'll give it a 7. I was going to give it a 6, but that's not fair. I'll give the season a 7 because it is, like I said, it was worth watching. And if it were a failing season, I would regret wasting my time watching it. So it did what it did. I'm okay with that. The last part. Did anybody else want to say anything? They're all just giving their little pageant queen answers. And then Phaedra says, not Phaedra, Portia stands up. Anytime we have a party, Shamia is the dancing girl. Now they done drop kick Shamia from the first episode to now. She's over there with a long face. It's pretty, but it's long. And anytime we get together, Shamia is the dancer. And I just want to get some fans. Portia runs off stage. They didn't show Portia run off stage, y'all. That was, I thought Portia was going to run off during the during the reunion. So I think that was just production playing with us because, she ran out of scenes throughout the season. She did it on the reunion. She jumped up to go hug Drew. That was episode 1. Not episode 1, but reunion part 1. And then she ran off to get her fans. So she got these season 16 fans. Portia is fun. You don't have to like Portia. Portia is fun. She comes back. Shamia is the dancer. She gives Shamia her fan. We need you to teach Andy a quick one, too. Shamia gets up just like a lap dog because I wouldn't have been talking to you, Portia. The way y'all drag me, I'm speaking as if I'm Shamia. I'm kind of mad. But Shamia, you're going to get up and dance. You know what Shamia should have did? Reached under that thing, got that Judith Lieber bag, not the Lieber, the fake one, and said, here, Portia, this is our new friend content, something. Because I think they're going to make up if only just for the show. So they all get a fan. Andy is excited, y'all. Ooh, do I get to twerk? He just wants to twerk, but Shamia shows him. It looks kind of like a boots on the ground type thing. And they end kind of dancing together. So this ended up pretty well. Britt, I know you back there in the bushes watching. I know Michael's telling you. I told you should have gone to the reunion. And guess whose husband would have been sitting behind him, Michael? Britt, Shamia was unprepared. She was there. Gerald wasn't there. Britt should have went to this reunion, y'all. She would have still had a job. I don't know, call the people, tell them you're traumatized, bring a doctor's note, do something. But now that you threaten to sue them, I don't think she's coming back, y'all. I think that's it. So part 3 was the best part of this reunion. The season was a mid-season. I gave it a 7, so I'll give it a passing grade. But thank you for joining me for this live Real Housewives of Atlanta season 16, not Sweet 16, season 16 review. And then my thoughts on the season as a whole and the reunion. And I still want the schedules to align with my sisters on the Dropping Extra Sassy Tea Talk panel as soon as our schedules all get together. Because there's some hardworking ladies and family, matriarchs and their family. Everybody has something going on, y'all. And I've been off for a few days, so I've been able to just drop in here and talk to you all. So thank you so much for joining Sandra P's GenXtra. Click the like button, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Thank my moderators for coming in. We had Mama B's, we had CC's, everyone, our regulars that came in. We had the new faces in here. Thank you all and have a great Wednesday and the rest of your week. Bye, everybody.